These things are absolute monsters. Are the PopBloom RL90s the right light for your reef tank? Let's find out. So before we dig in deep to the specifics of the PAR, which you can see that I have marked out here with these stickers on my aquarium, let's just talk about some of the awesome things that these lights can bring to your aquarium. And by far, one of the reasons that I chose these over any of the other options was the shimmer. Now, I come from the days of metal halide and T5 aquarium lighting, and if any of you out there know what metal halide lighting looks like on a reef tank, it is absolutely gorgeous. It's so natural looking. It has that sun shining through the swimming pool, like refraction effect, that glittering and shimmering. These are the closest LED light that I have found on the market that simulate that sort of look. Now, don't get me wrong. It don't look like a metal halide, but it's very close. The shimmer is super nice. And if you can get a good choppy surface agitation in your aquarium with your flow pumps doing different things or whatever, making that surface really choppy, the shimmer that you can get from these lights is actually really, really, really nice. And that is due in part to the fact that they are a pinpoint light source. That's where that shimmer comes from. With some of the other lighting on the market, the lights are spread out over the whole tank, or they're big panels with 100 LEDs in them, and it's this wide and this tall, you know, and there are a lot of light sources. It's going to diminish that shimmering capability. But the PopBlooms have all of their LEDs inside a little puck that's about 2 inches across with a dome-shaped lens, and it's the closest thing that I can find from an LED that is a pinpoint light source like a metal halide was. Now, some people love that shimmer, and I am one of those people. I love the way that looks in my tank, but a lot of people don't. And if you don't want that to happen, but you still decide that you like these lights, you're going to want to keep that surface agitation to a minimum. Now, that presents a problem because without proper surface agitation, you are not going to have proper oxygenation in your aquarium. But as long as you're running something like an overflow with a sump and a skimmer, or even just a hang on the back skimmer or something like that, you're still going to be okay. But me, I want all the shimmer I can get. Oh, and I would like to take this little opportunity to thank the channel members for being able to make this video happen, because without their monthly support to the channel, I would not have been able to get these lights, and I wouldn't have been able to do this comparison. So I really appreciate that. And if any of you want to join with them in supporting the channel monthly and allowing me to keep getting these types of products and doing these sort of videos, you can do that by clicking the join button on the home screen or finding the link in the description. And thank you very much. I appreciate that. Now, this is an important little note to be aware of as well. If you get the PopBlooms with the arm mount kit for the back of the aquarium where they clip on the back, it comes with the parts to do a hanging mount as well. So you get 2-in-1 kind of situation for that. You might not need the arms right now, but you might change your aquarium later or do something different later on. Maybe you move and you get rid of your canopy. You want to do the open top style. You'll have the arms in the closet. So if you want to get both, just order the kit with the arms as well, and you'll have all of the options. Now, as for hanging them, that is really entirely up to you. In my situation here, I have wood across the top of my canopy, so I was able to just literally screw the hanging mounts directly to the wood, and then the PopBlooms go in the side, and a screw goes into the side of the light to hold it there. These are very, very similar to the Red Sea Reef LEDs. But honestly, I think I like these a little bit better because not only do they have ridiculous PAR values, which we're going to talk about in just a few minutes, they're about half as expensive. And for those of us doing this on a budget who don't have $3,000 or $4,000 to spend on lighting, these are a solid choice. They run off of exactly the same app as the RL60, which is the little brother to this light. It's the 60-watt version, which uses the same LED puck. It just has a lower powered driver. And if you're interested in the RL60, I just made a video on those that'll be linked at the end of this video, and you can go check those out because that might be my new favorite like small reef keeping light. It's important to note that I have not had a single problem out of these lights, and I've had them for probably over a year now. I'm not even really sure because I'm terrible with dates, but I didn't just get these and just set them up and now I'm telling you my thoughts. I've had these, I've used them. I'm seeing coral growth in my tank from SPS, which I will show you right now on the screen. Now, these are small frags, but they are growing, and that's what I'm trying to demonstrate to you. Now, I did make a mistake. After I took these par values, I increased these lights, and I did it a little too much. I did run the acclimation mode for a week, but I think that still wasn't enough acclimation to allow the corals to get used to that increased bump in lighting, and I had to turn them back down. So, make no mistake, these things are powerful and will bleach your corals if you're not careful and you run them too high. So it's very important to get a par meter under these, check your tank, and see what the par is about. And if you need to know how to do that, there's going to be a video coming about that soon in the pipeline. Now let's talk about the setup for just a few minutes. These were pretty easy to set up, but they do only run on the 2.4 gigahertz internet signal. They do not run on 5G. So it might be a situation where you have to set up a dedicated 2.4 gigahertz channel on your main router to allow these lights to connect and not have any problems. I personally didn't have to do that. They seem to be working fine, choosing the 2.4 because it is available, even though I have 5G available in my house. If you need help with that, you're going to have to contact your internet service provider to get their help in walking you through that, because your specific router and ISP are the people who can help you with that, not PopBloom. But this video is not a dedicated video talking about the PopBloom app. I'm going to be making that in either the next video or the next one after that, and I will go over the entire app in detail. You'll have everything that you need to know about it, from setup all the way through to adjusting your own light schedule. So let's talk about par. I did several different things with this tank. Because of the shape of my rock work, you can kind of see that the stickers follow that sort of shape. I have a couple of measurements down here at the corners, one at the bottom in the middle right here, and then these over here are directly below this light fixture here at set depths throughout the tank, just to get sort of a standard for what these lights can do. And these are going to be the ones we talk about first. So each different color represents a different percent of intensity that I had the light set to: 100, 75, 50, and 25. So on the 100% intensity, these lights are 11 inches above the water as well, just in case anybody wanted to know that. If you move the lights down further, closer to the water, these numbers are going to go up, and vice versa. So at 100% intensity at the surface, we have 540 par from these lights. And because of that, I'm not running these lights at 100% myself. I tried to do it, and I started noticing a little bleaching on the tips of some of my SPS. So I've backed them back down to my previous setting. I'm going to take a longer ramp up to acclimate them in to get to that higher par number. So moving down to this section here, I've got 310 par at 100%, which is cool because that is directly under the light. But over here on this side of the aquarium, on the top of the lights right here, I have 311, even though those rocks are in the middle between two lights. So it's pretty steady, even par spread across the entire tank. And I really like that. Now, I'm running 4 of them on my 6-foot tank. They recommend one of these for every 2-foot square portion of the tank, but I talked to them a little bit. They thought that 4 would probably give me better spread in my aquarium, and I'm glad that I went with 4 for a 6-foot. Moving down to this spot here, this is about middle of the tank, and this tank is 21 inches tall. Forgot to tell you guys that, but now you have that information. We're at 280 par at 100%. Moving over here. Now this is about exactly the same area as this on the tank, but we saw about 325. So a little bit higher, but this is also directly under that light, and it could have been a little bit of a human error in there. So we're going to call it about 300 par. here in the middle of the tank. Moving down to this section here, which is about 8 inches off of the sand bed, we're at 200 par, 203 to be exact. So right here where I've got my Euphilia and my Acropora, I've got a hammer, I've got some rock flower anemones, they're at about 200 par. And that seems to be perfect for these guys. They're all happy, they're all looking good. I've got a Zoa colony of orange bam bams right back there on that rock that I'm pointing at now, and they seem to be doing well. So 200 par, coming down through about 20 inches of water or so. I was completely wrong. This tank is 24 inches tall. It's 20 inches from the front to the back. So with the 200 par here, it's coming down through, I don't know, about 18 or so inches of water, getting to this point. 200 par on these rocks, everything is looking good. And finally, right here at the sand bed, directly under this light, but in front of the tank, we're at 187 par. So I'm going with 100% on these lights from 200 up to 300 in this whole range here. And that's pretty darn impressive, because a lot of the time you see much more degradation than that as the lights go further down through the water. These ones seem to have the punch to get through the water, get through everything all the way to the sand bed, and still hold that 200 par down at the sand bed. And just for reference, this one here is at 210, and this one here all the way over in the front corner, which is a little bit further away than some of the other ones, was at 130. So I'm getting solid par all over the whole aquarium, but that was at 100%. Let's drop it down to 50% and see what that looks like. So I'm going to go through this a little bit faster. Here at the top, we're at 300 and then 180, then 120, then 104. And this was interesting because we jumped back to 110, so we went up in par down here, but I think that's probably just a little bit of variation in the measurements, and probably some human error calculated in there. I wouldn't be too worried about it. The main takeaway is we're at about 100 on the sand bed, and we're at about 300 at the surface, with 180 being here. So at 50% on these lights, we still have only a 100 par spread from the top of the rocks to the sand bed. That's absolutely nuts. That's basically going to allow you to pick and choose and put your corals anywhere on your rocks that you want them. If you need highlight corals, you're going to have to come up to the top of your rocks. If you want to hide micromusa down in a cave, you can do that right under there. I tested right next to that micromusa, and it was about 65 par, which is perfect for that coral. Now, these measurements over here are very interesting as well, and I haven't talked about them yet. They are all the way in the back corner back there, and at 100%, it was 130, which is pretty interesting because that matches the 100% that's over here on this front corner. So that spread is there. And at 50%, we're at 70 and 40. I don't have any corals in that back corner back there, but if I wanted to put some back there, there are some lower light corals that I could introduce into that area, and it would be no problem. Now, reduced down to 25% intensity, there weren't really any usable area in the aquarium for corals except for right up here at the top of the rocks. But that really doesn't matter for a whole lot of people because almost nobody is going to run these lights at 25% all the time. You're going to do a ramp up to wherever you're going to be for a while and then ramp down. So it's a non-issue. Now let's talk about the spectrum that these lights have for just a few minutes. I'm going to put 4 images up on the screen right now. This is going to be more of full white. This is the UV channel. This is the blue channel, and this is the teal channel. And then if we do a mixture of these, you get what I have going in my tank right now. Don't let anybody tell you that the PopBloom lights can't get good coral pictures, because I vehemently disagree. I take the white channel and the teal channel all the way down. I take the UV channel and the blue channel all the way up, and I use a lens filter for the corals with the orange and the yellow lenses stacked. And man, do you get some crazy pop from the corals out of these lights. They absolutely will give you that blue pop that you're looking for, that almost UV blacklight effect in your tank, if that's what you're going for. But these lights are designed to give you more of a natural look to your aquarium. A lot of people like that naturalistic look, more whites and more teals in the coloration, and that's what these lights sort of do best. There are other lights on the market that are much more blue and UV heavy if that's the look that you're going for. I'm thinking of Vipar Spectras and Flyzons and some of the other ones like that. And even the Red Sea Reef LED has a little more punch in the UV spectrum than these do. The UVs on these, channel 2, is basically just being used as a moonlight. So, what are my final thoughts about the RL90s from PopBloom? Are they going to be awesome reef keeping lights for us moving into the future? Yes, absolutely they are. And they are a very nice budget option for people who don't have thousands of dollars to spend on their reef lights. A set like this of 4 of these is going to cost you less than $1,000 to get to your door. There are other fixtures out there where one fixture is going to cost you that much. But overall, if you're looking for that type of light that's going to give you a little bit of movement, a little bit of shimmer, and a lot of coral growth potential, as well as some very nice coloring to the tank, you cannot go wrong with the PopBloom RL90s. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss any of my future videos, and check out one of these 2 videos on the screen right now. One of them is bound to be interesting to you. I mean, if it's not, what am I even doing here?